Did you know that a simple mistake when filing your taxes could cost you hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars? Even worse, this mistake is more common than you think. If you're considering using TurboTax or hiring an accountant, it's essential to understand which option can actually save you more money and avoid issues with the IRS. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to choose the best alternative for your situation and reveal a fatal mistake many people make when filing their taxes online, and one you need to avoid at all costs. Filing taxes might seem complicated, especially if you're doing it for the first time or aren't sure which route to take. On one hand, we have TurboTax, a user-friendly platform that promises to simplify the entire process. On the other hand, we have accountants, experts who can handle all the details for you but often charge a higher fee for their services. The big question is, which of these options is really worth it for you? The answer depends on a few factors that many people overlook, and that's where the biggest mistakes happen. In today's video, I'll show you how to avoid these mistakes and help you make the best decision to save time, money, and rest easy knowing your taxes are filed correctly. And listen, if you want to avoid these mistakes and learn practical ways to save more money when filing your taxes, make sure to subscribe to the channel right now. That way, you won't miss any important tips that can make all the difference to your wallet. Now that you know choosing between TurboTax and an accountant can directly affect how much you pay, or get back, on your taxes, let's dive into the details to help you make the right choice and avoid costly errors. Let's start by analyzing TurboTax. TurboTax is one of the most popular tools for filing taxes online, and it's not without reason. It was designed to be an easy, affordable solution for most taxpayers. And the best part? It walks you through the entire filing process step by step, making it much simpler for first-timers. When you first enter TurboTax, you'll immediately notice that the platform is incredibly intuitive. The system starts with a simple questionnaire: do you have a full-time job? Do you have a single source of income? Are you filing as single, married, or head of household? These initial questions are key to understanding your situation and applying the correct deductions and exemptions. The great thing about TurboTax is that it's designed not to leave you lost in the middle of forms and details. It does most of the work for you, filling in the right fields and calculating values automatically. And if you make a mistake, the system immediately alerts you, which significantly reduces the chances of simple errors, like putting numbers in the wrong fields or forgetting to fill out a section. Furthermore, if your situation is relatively simple, like if you receive a W-2 form, which is a pay stub, or have few deductions, you can use the free version of TurboTax. This is a huge advantage because you can file your taxes efficiently without spending a dime. However, if your situation is more complicated, you'll likely need to use a paid version. Let's say you're self-employed or have other sources of income, like rental properties or investments in the stock market. In these cases, TurboTax offers paid packages that include extra features, like support for filling out specific forms and more complex deductions. This can be very helpful, but it also means you'll need to spend more, which might be a disadvantage for those trying to save as much as possible. Another point to consider is the support offered. If you get lost at any point, TurboTax offers help via chat or even over the phone, depending on the package you choose. However, if you need more detailed or personalized assistance, it might not be enough, and this is where hiring an accountant could be a better choice. Now, let's talk about the other side of the coin, hiring an accountant. While this is a more expensive service than using platforms like TurboTax, it often makes sense for people with more complicated tax situations or those who simply prefer the peace of mind that comes from knowing a professional is handling everything. Accountants have in-depth knowledge of tax laws, which can be crucial for maximizing your deductions and ensuring you don't miss out on any benefits. For example, if you own a small business, an accountant can help you properly claim your business expenses, including those you may not even know are deductible, like business travel or even the use of your car for work. Additionally, if you have investments, rental properties, or other assets that require a deeper understanding of tax laws, an accountant might be the ideal choice. They know exactly which forms you need to fill out, which deductions you can apply, and can even help you create a tax strategy to minimize your tax burden in a legal and safe way. An accountant can also be extremely helpful if you're dealing with issues with the IRS, such as delays in previous filings, tax debt, or even an audit. They can act as your intermediary, resolving the situation more efficiently, and often with better results, than if you were handling it alone. However, this option comes at a cost. Accountants charge fees that vary significantly depending on the complexity of your filing and your location. For a simple taxpayer, this cost might not be worth it, especially if your financial situation isn't complicated. However, if you have a more complex tax life, this investment can be a great way to ensure everything is done correctly and that you're not paying more taxes than necessary. Now, you may be wondering, when is TurboTax the best option? If your tax situation is relatively simple, TurboTax can be the most cost-effective and quickest option. This includes people who receive a regular salary, don't have many deductions, and just need to fill out the basic tax return forms. Also, if you're willing to invest a little more time to understand the process and learn how it works, TurboTax can also be a great option for people with slightly more income or those who need to fill out more complex forms, such as those related to investments. TurboTax offers different packages, so you can choose the one that best suits your needs. However, if you have a more complicated financial situation, like being self-employed, having investments in stocks, owning rental properties, or needing specific advice on tax strategies, TurboTax may not be enough. In this case, it might be worth considering hiring an accountant. Hiring an accountant is recommended if you have a more complex financial situation or if you want to ensure your tax return is done in the most accurate and advantageous way possible. This includes self-employed or freelancers. If you're self-employed or a freelancer, your finances can be more complicated. An accountant can help you maximize deductions related to your work, like home office expenses, transportation, and equipment. Investments and properties. If you have investments, rental properties, or a diverse portfolio, an accountant can ensure that all the tax aspects are correctly applied, helping you take full advantage of related deductions. Tax planning needs. If you're trying to minimize your tax burden strategically, an accountant can help you plan for the next tax year. Issues with the IRS. If you've had issues with the IRS, such as back taxes or an audit notice, having an accountant by your side can be essential to resolve those problems more efficiently. In summary, both TurboTax and an accountant have their strengths. If you have a simple situation and are willing to learn a bit about how tax filing works, TurboTax might be the best choice, especially since it's a more affordable and practical solution. However, if your situation is more complex or you just want the peace of mind that comes from knowing a professional is handling everything for you, an accountant might be the more advantageous choice. Now that you have all the information you need to make a more informed decision, simply assess your personal situation and choose the option that best meets your needs. And if these tips are helping you better understand how to file your taxes without the hassle, go ahead and give this video a like. It not only helps me continue bringing this kind of content, but it also ensures more people can avoid those common mistakes when filing their taxes. Now that you know how to choose between TurboTax and an accountant to file your taxes the most efficient way possible, how about taking the next step and learning even more about managing your money? I've got a video right here on the screen that will show you valuable tips on saving, organizing your finances, and even increasing your refund next year. Click now, and I'll see you there.